This summer, talking to several of my friends from Dallas, they told me about a program that had really impacted them. So I was invited by a group of those women that I'd been to church with for 25 years, and I went back to my old church, and this past summer went through Forgiving Forward, and it impacted me tremendously. I had been talking to Larry about this and was hopeful that that he would do it.
Well, what prompted me to become involved was over a period of several months, I began to notice some perceptible changes in my sweet wife. For one thing, she began to get off of antidepressants and was able to almost totally get out of counseling. But there was just a sweetness and a peace that I hadn't really seen to the degree that I was seeing. And this went on for 3 or 4 months, and I really didn't know what it was due to.
I told him about it several months previous.
Repeatedly, but I was resistant.
And he was, he's not interested, didn't want to go. And so I just started praying, asking the Lord, if I feel like this would impact him a great deal. And he goes, "Did you know there's one this weekend?" And I'm like, "Well, yes, actually, I did know that." And he just ran with it.
So I got online and looked up about who this group was. I wanted to know what kind of folks were having input to my wife.
That I'm hanging out with.
And saw, lo and behold, that they were doing a seminar in East Texas in just 3 days. Well, I'm a little bit ADD and diverse to driving 2 hours and don't like long seminars. And I had tickets to the Mavericks. I'll skip Friday. And then he said, "No, that isn't good enough. I want you to go to the whole deal." So I reluctantly somewhat gave in.
So we go, and there are no seats except right in front of the speaker, the front two. So we have got to, excuse me, walk in front of everybody else. They're all seated. We walk in late, and we have to sit right in front of the pastor teaching.
That was one of the best investments in time in my 40 plus years of following Jesus. In the months since, in our house, we have seen really life-giving changes in our aspect towards forgiveness.
Because of this study and trying to live these principles out, I felt very much led to go to my ex-husband and ask his forgiveness for some things that kind of went way back. It was remarkable what happened. He and I just really were able to forgive each other and say there is absolutely zero bitterness between us. And the best part is I talked to my oldest daughter. I told her what had happened, and she just started to cry and said, "Mom, this is a miracle." And I said, "I know." And when she called her dad, she said he was in the best mood. She said he was almost giddy. He was in such a good mood. But that's what forgiveness does. It just unburdens us.
What I think Dr. Hebel has done in this, with a lot of experience in churches and counseling and in ministry, is brought to truths of the Scripture as far as forgiveness and the terrible, terrible high price of unforgiveness and what Scripture says about it. At least 98% of the problems in churches, in marriages, in families, and virtually every relationship have at their root the issue of unforgiveness. And yet we know that Jesus, in the heart of the gospel, has come to forgive us. So why don't we exercise this more as he's taught us to do in Scripture? See what God would do in your life in the area of forgiveness. I guarantee you God can use it and would use it. And I can't strongly enough encourage you to come. I'll see you there. Thanks.